and Twitch all the time. Are we live? Live! Hi there. So the first part of the live video is usually just chilling and letting people join us. I'm Jen from Zen, and this is Seija. So we're here at the Zen studio, and this is the first of my instructor interview videos. I do these videos a lot by myself or with our nutritionist. Hi. So now, I got to keep up on the waves. With our nutritionist, and but then I was like, hey, I've got so many interesting characters here at Zen. Why are we not hanging out and talking? Actually, we do hang out and talk.
We just don't record it.
But we just don't record it. Yeah. So not everyone's as comfortable on camera as I have developed into, but that doesn't matter. I still put her on the spot because this is Seija. She's a performer, she's an instructor, she's a dancer, and I'm going to hammer a few questions at her just so we can get to know her a little bit. So what's your full name?
Seija Cassidy Escalon. My performer name is Sizzle, so you might have seen that.
3
around,
Zs.
but Seija, yeah.
3 Zs in the sizzle.
3 Zs, just to be special.
It is special. So how long have you been dancing?
Basically my whole entire life, maybe like four.
What'd
Yeah,
you start
4
with?
and onwards. So not actually like traditional dance, but another very niche sport called rhythmic gymnastics,
Cool.
which I devoted the majority of my lifetime to as a gymnast and coach and choreographer. And yeah, that kind of somehow backwards like led me into pole dancing down the line, but yeah, that's where it all started.
So when did you start pole?
I started pole just over 5 years ago.
And that was at Breast.
And that was at Brass Vixens in Toronto. Yeah, so I had started working there and just slowly but surely kind of pushed my way into classes. I was really intrigued, but pretty nervous to just give it a try. And finally my boss just said, just get into class one day. And I tried it and was like, whoa, what is this? And I felt like I never danced in my life.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you were working the desk, but you'd never jumped into class?
I was working as like a studio assistant, just doing running around and stuff like that, taking care of errands. And I was just always in and out of the studio, watching everybody. I'd like go to some of the events and everybody would be there dressed up in their like massive shoes. And I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I love it. But yeah, and then finally kind of got started with classes. And from there I was encouraged to start teaching and start performing, which didn't even cross my mind at first either. I was like, oh, I'm just taking classes. And then suddenly, you know, we're doing showcases and stuff like that. And being encouraged to do that really kind of like burst it all open for me.
Oh, nice. Did you perform like in your rhythmic gymnastics?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But after that part of my life, that chapter kind of ended a little bit. I didn't have any creative outlet really. I would get in and out of like going to the gym. I was really into kickboxing for a while. Then I was kind of not physically active for a long time, and it was a really big void in my life for sure. So pole was like right there to like fill that totally in.
Nice.
So, yeah.
A lot of this stuff is new to me.
Oh,
but
look, there you go. Learning things.
But it sounds like so many people's stories here.
Yeah.
So, which is why, like, I always say is like a wicked starting point for pole as well as continuing on. But like, you make pole really accessible for everybody, and maybe because you have that beginner mentality.
Yeah.
Like, you were a dancer, but then pole kind of humbles you back at the beginning, I'm sure.
Big time. And me especially, just my own nature, like I'm just like a nervous, cautious type of person, and like, you know, watching people like flip upside down and do crazy tricks and they're spinning and all this stuff, like it took me a long while to like really warm up and push myself out of my comfort zone, you know, and it was just really baby steps for me. But everybody's journey is very different. Yeah. But I totally do. Yeah, I relate to the people who come in and they feel like this isn't for me. I don't think I can do this, and feel like really, you know, like their limitations are kind of holding them back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that makes a lot more sense. I should know this stuff. That makes a lot more sense to me because, like, you know, I met you when you're like this performer and this instructor, and you like own your space and you own the pole. but you also have this wicked relatability to the beginners. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and people often, I think, they don't really believe me when I'm like, oh, this was hard for me, or I was like this, because they see like either my performance persona or something like that, which is very different than my nature, my true nature. And also pole dancing, once you're kind of in it, really tends to bring out the best in you. So you're, yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting too, because sometimes we get beginners who have dance experience, but they don't have any pole, or beginners with absolutely no dance experience. And so what do you think?
It's all really individual, and people ask that all the time. How long is it going to take me, to get this? And I'm a dancer, so it should be like this. But it just, again, like I'm a perfect example of like I had experience in a certain level of strength, but when I started pole, I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. Or someone who's super strong comes in here and, a pole hold is no problem. They can lift themselves, all these things, but they're really uncoordinated. The movement around the pole is what they need to get used to. It's really different for every individual.
And I think Zen is a bit different in that regard. Something you just said, pole dancing versus pole fitness. You put a lot of the movement in between the on the pole stuff, and that's what is the biggest difference between the two. No?
Well, I don't know that there is. I don't know. It's such a complicated kind of question and issue. Like pole dance is pole fitness. If you're pole dancing, trust me, there's some fitness involved. But I think like the divide is between sort of the more dancey, sensual, exotic style dance versus pole sport, which is essentially like gymnastics on a vertical pole, type thing. I don't know. The whole thing is that, again, just like, your journey as far as getting comfortable, progressing through moves and everything is going to be really individual. The way that you approach it stylistically, and that's a really simple way of putting it, because even in exotic, there's a bunch of different styles, and even in pole sport, there's a bunch of different styles, and then there's also like lyrical pole, etc. So you can bring your own vibe, your own background and interests, and integrate it into your movement on the pole. I don't know that it's particularly useful to always be dividing. It's got to be this or this. It's black and white. Because I feel like even when you come to my classes, and I like dancing around quite a bit, we will do a lot of conditioning and a lot of just like technical work on breaking down moves and getting combinations and stuff like that. So the either or thing for me always kind of makes me,
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a dividing thing in like the community overall, like the whole community overall. And I hate seeing that kind of turn into like an ugly conversation, which it sometimes does. Doesn't here.
No.
but anyhow, just in the broader sense,
Right, yeah, we don't have to define
us versus them type thing.
Yeah, that's not, we try and stay away from that for sure. I mean, we're a fitness studio, but we were just talking about that. We use all of these modalities to move the body. So it's like an alternative fitness studio. We're not just pumping iron, we're not just lifting weights and running on treadmills and that sort of thing. We are getting those same results, but also like spinning around a pole and, being on a yoga mat and doing that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go quickly back to my quick questions, even though
we went right off and running. Yeah.
I knew it was going to like evolve wherever it would.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest pole, dance, or burlesque inspiration when you're planning your classes or when you're planning your own performances?
My biggest inspiration, I mean, I guess as far as people, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few like pole stars you could say that I find very inspiring, like Marlo Fiskin would be one, and Olga Koda, like the answers everybody would give. Yeah, and then as far as burlesque goes, this just sounds like I'm sucking up maybe, but our burlesque mama, Jess Crow, is like a very creative person that really pushes you to, again, sort of not do what comes naturally to you. So she's really inspired me to sort of like push my own envelope more. Like submit a routine and it's like, no, you're changing this, and this. And then you're like, hey, think like Jess. That's inspiring.
Yeah, that's awesome. We are like super lucky to have Jess and Colin in the city, right?
Yeah.
Like as far like the Sudbury has such a strong burlesque community is amazing. Because it's really just starting to pick up some traction, even in the major cities.
Exactly. And they put a lot of work into it, and the production's super awesome.
Well, that's it too, because like we're a bit spoiled, but then talking to other people, it's like, no, the production value on Sudbury Burlesque is like next level. And I was just watching Colin's story today of all those videos for the next show. It's like, what is going on? Like, I need to go to the show because I need to know where the direction of those videos. I don't know. Is it like drinking like condensed milk or something?
Exactly.
Oh my God, his like Brenda from accounting.
It's too much.
It's like next level. And then Jess is whoever that shoveling character. Just their characters are like outrageous. Yeah. Anyway, we'll give them a little plug because April 19th and 20th,
showtime.
Seija's performing. They've got something super cool going on, and I don't know what to expect, but that's like kind of the whole theme of burlesque. Do not think you know what you're going to get, but they've got their regular burlesque show, and then right afterwards in the bar next door, is that still called Coyote?
I think so.
Yeah. Is a pop-up party. Yeah,
so like a whole second event where there'll be bar top burlesque and then a band and all that stuff. It'll be amazing.
Yeah, so but there's no pot gonna be there. It's just
it's just themed that way. No, you can't smoke weed inside.
No.
But many
you can
people
come high. You can come high.
From what I hear, so
maybe our new store will be open by then.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
That'd be a good kind of like
tie-in. Yeah, get a sponsorship. We need to find them. Yeah.
Okay, so I told a little bit of a story on Instagram yesterday. And so Seija was already at Zen when I took over for a couple months.
Yeah.
She had moved back to Sudbury, and Eddie had opened her space, and, you know, she started teaching here. And I remember when I took over, pole was completely new, dance was completely new. I come from a martial arts background, a more team sport background, and fitness and yoga. And so I was like, okay, but like, you know, marketing and being an entrepreneur, that stuff I got. So I was like, okay, how do I market this so that everybody won't think that we are strippers, basically? I guess I was trying to think in my, you know, smaller minded brain at that time. And Seija said something really important to me. She talked about how we can't forget the roots of pole dancing. So
it goes right back to that like us versus them conversation of like the sport versus the dance versus the sexy versus the this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, current pole sport, however sporty you want to make it, the way that it has you know, moved into this fitness activity, a group fitness activity, as well as a competitive sport, has its real true origins in the club, in the strip club. Now, everybody's gonna be like, what about Chinese pole? And it's just like, yes, there were other sports that involved a pole previous to the circus tent pole, and then the strip club pole, and then now our pole fitness studio. But in general, right now, as an art, as a sport, it really came right from, you know, pole dancing in the 80s and 90s and maybe even the 70s. Strip club dancing. And so it's a sport that's kind of unique and awesome because it's like pioneered by women for other women, and now it's opened up to be a sport that kind of everybody participates in.
Well, and even just like not forgetting the roots, right? Like trying to like water down
or erase, like erase what the origin really is, and not celebrate it. I don't know. Again, even if you're not a stripper, obviously pole is here for you, and you can be an ally to a sex worker and be supportive of somebody who's dancing in a club, and just appreciate that we're borrowing a little bit of their culture.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's happening.
Yeah, and for me, it was like in a world where the feminine sexuality is really repressed, what's wrong with celebrating it?
And that's, a huge part of it.
And there's a lot of, like, I've seen these memes where it's like modesty empowers, but then nudity, not that we get totally nude here, but like nudity empowers the same, and we can't be the ones to dictate what empowers. It's different for
everyone. Yeah, right? For one person, that modesty is going to empower them. For the other person, it's this. And it's not in every avenue of your life that you might be feeling like you need to be super modest or super, you know, revealed, whatever it is. Again, it's about somebody's right to, you know, choose their own exploration for themselves. And again, pole allows that. You can be as sexy or non-sexy as you want, as modest or however you want to be. If you came in here any day of the week, you'd be like, she seems super modest. I'm in like a sweatsuit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And then you see me on stage in burlesque and I'm half naked. So there you go. I don't know. It's just.
Well, that's what I like, because you do kind of have these two personas. Because yeah, when you come in, you're full, like you've got lots of clothes on, and then you strip it down, and then your movements are so sexy and they're so sensual. But then she can go into her ordinary life, and like it doesn't spread everywhere.
No, but you kind of just take a little piece of that, like, I don't know, confidence, or I don't know what you want to call it, just being in touch with basically like your femininity.
Yeah.
Kind of embody that and bring that along in life with you.
Well, that's what's cool about some of the women here. And this is like, you know, again, like it was brand new for me, and I would watch these women come in their work clothes, basically. They'd come after work, and they, you know, none of their coworkers would know they were coming and doing this, just like the women who were just here in lunch class.
That's right.
They get in their, you know, pole gear, and just like personal style on the pole gear is the personal style. We've got like Katie, who's rocking the sequins, and then we've got other people who I've seen in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. It's like there's every like area of the spectrum that you can be in. They come here, we keep the lights low. It's kind of between you, the instructor, the mirror, your own pole, and then they put their clothes back on, and then they leave. And it's like this like sexy, sensual little secret that can be shared out
or not.
in the world.
Some people just want, you know, they never post anything online. Maybe they don't tell a whole lot of people that they're involved in it. It's just their special time, just for them, their wellness, their fitness, and well-being.
Yeah.
And then other people might turn it into more of a lifestyle, like myself, or you know, Katie, or other people that I know who go into competing, instructing, etc.
Yeah. Definitely.
Or just taking class very seriously and being here full time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's crazy to watch and be involved with people's evolution too. Whether it is out there on social media, and we never pressure, of course, good for business for it to be out there, but I mean, it's never a pressure to post those things.
It's fun for personal growth though too. You know, you get to look back and be like, oh, this was me 1 year ago, and you know, you see these improvements or where you'd like to improve. Other people's posts motivate you. You know, Katie posting all the time, I'm like, oh yeah, I should pole dance today. You know, like, I don't know. Reminder, pole dance, you know.
Oh, totally.
Keeps you kind of excited about it.
Yeah, totally. And we also do our showcases here at Zen, which is
just the best.
Yeah, it's the fun little way to test your skills.
I'm totally out of this other shot. Hi, back.
Yeah, test your skills, and like, I love your class, Adventures of Sandy. Nice. Yay.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, a way for you to kind of like have an outlet. Because I always like what Seija said was when she would dance and perform, and then there was a bit of a gap. And that happens at like 18, 19 years old when it comes to dance. And then I know like that happens in a lot of sports
in general. People just they grow up and suddenly they're just going to the gym, and nothing wrong with going to the gym if that's your thing, but you miss out on a lot of the other stuff you got from sports.
Well, or
like
then
community.
Well, sometimes they turn to like the bodybuilding competitions and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is not always like the healthy lifestyle to live. I've got my opinions about that kind of stuff. But anyway,
veering back.
Yeah, but being back around, I get it because it's that drive to compete. I had the same drive to compete or test your skills or show it in fighting competitions, and now we have the showcases here, and that's kind of that same idea to like push yourself to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. Take your skills, put them on the stage, remember choreography, be challenged to not get too nervous in front of friends and families, and
work towards something.
Work towards something. I mean, pole's really goal-oriented anyways, even outside of a performance or competitive atmosphere, but that kind of ups the ante a little bit. And for me, was what really has always pushed me to level up from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I might have been still in a pole beginner class somewhere if somebody didn't say, you should be in the showcase. And then I got to the showcase and I couldn't do half of the things. So I had to learn them. So then I learned them, and then I did the next show, and then I had to learn a whole bunch of other new things.
Sometimes it's just about throwing yourself right into the fire.
Yeah.
So we get a question, not all the time, but a lot of times people want their kids to do pole dancing. What do you think about that?
I think before people get going in the comments, take a deep breath. Pole for kids is a legit thing worldwide. Like, people are doing it, and it's amazing. My boss at Brass Vixens, Dawn, said one thing. She's like, the only problem I have with those kids is that they're so effing. So, I mean, what if it's just like, think about the jungle gym. Like, what's the big difference in terms of the apparatus? You've got the fireman pole, you've got the pole dancing pole, and these kids are fearless and strong. And I mean, I wish I would have learned as a kid. I would be, you know, a lot less of a like fraidy pole dancer. You know, oh yeah, I'm like the world's most nervous pole dancer, basically. But obviously, the conversation centers right back around the origins, the strip club association. You know, we don't want these little children to be ruined by being around a stripper pole. But again, I think it has its place. Obviously, it's not going to be right for every studio.
Yeah.
I think in some of, obviously, like the more fitness sort of competitions, world championships and stuff like that, where there isn't a huge exotic element, you see kids competing and stuff like that. Again, so many studios are more so centered around like the kind of like women's gyms and adults only. It's just sort of what we have going on here. It's not really the space for it, because again, we are sort of exploring, again, sort of the more sexy side of it too. So
like, they've got a move that they call vagina monster. And one time, because like at the beginning I was just saying yes to everything, and a mother brought a 10-year-old, and Katie, who teaches kids on the fly, thought of
Cookie Monster
instead of vagina monster. So we thought, maybe we can do this. And then honestly, like, comes from me. I spent the last 10 years teaching kids martial arts, and when you teach, and any teachers out there know this, which is why we don't usually post any pictures of our teacher students here, because they do teach kids. When you teach children, you're kind of on a bit of a shorter leash. You need to be accountable to the parents. You need to be accountable as a role model and all that sort of stuff. And me personally, I've had my fill of that. And
I love teaching kids. That's the thing, though. And I constantly forget that because it's been so long.
Yeah.
But I used to be coaching kids all of the time. So I do miss it in one way. But yeah, I don't know, and it's so niche. It's already such a niche activity, even for adults, that I don't know that right now, currently, Sudbury, Ontario is the place where kids' pole is going to totally explode and take off. Like, even in Toronto, I don't know that there's much kids' pole happening.
No.
And if there is, we're not seeing it, and if they're not posting, it's because they don't want to hear about, you know, people's opinions on it. So
it's a hard sell, and and also I just didn't want a bunch of kids in the studio, because a lot of moms or women come in here as their time and their time to escape.
Yeah, to get away from family, work, just my own, my own.
And there's a lot of really amazing kids dance studios in town.
That's right. Yeah.
And we have got this little niche market. We are unique, and we are kind of doing our own thing. So we're just going to leave the kids alone.
Yeah, for now. Other than that, though, but I mean, we also have like a lot of great pole moms here, like pole mamas. All the moms are here. I love them.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
They want that alternative.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is huge. Well, I found it in martial arts, and pole and dance is very similar, is the gains that you can strive for, and more gains than just like the muscles that you can see in the mirror. It's like the pole gains, the different moves, the inversions, whatever you can like achieve. And you don't have to track reps, and you don't have to track like inches or any of that sort of, or protein or any of that sort of stuff. You can just spin around the pole and be like, am I going to hit this today? You know, that sort of thing. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think people come in like anytime they're starting a new fitness regime, really thinking like, I want to lose like this much weight, and is this going to give me abs or whatever, like weird things that are their goals. This is what I want, or like I want to have my summer body. I want to look good naked, like your post the other day, whatever. But quickly, if it pulls for you, you kind of get in here, and it will completely transform your headspace. Just being either into the moment, like just really present and enjoying classes, loving moving around, or getting into that goal-oriented space where you're like, oh, I want to get this, I want to climb, I want to work towards this next move. And all those other things, they're just like the happy accident that happens because of pole dancing. You're like, oh wait, now I do kind of have abs. Oh my God, I'm strong. I lost 10 pounds, whatever it is. But you start to be just less consumed by that.
Well, something about that, like you want to look good naked post, it's like you want to feel good naked.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a huge thing that comes with pole, even if we don't see any changes in the body. Some people are, number one question, I always say this, what do I wear? And then it's like, you got to wear a bra top and booty shorts. Yeah. Okay, so already that freaks people out. But imagine, your body doesn't change at all, but in like 3 weeks of pole, you feel comfortable in a bra top and booty shorts.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't like, it's about feeling comfortable and sexy naked, and part of that is attitude, the way we carry ourselves, self-acceptance, what the body can do.
Yes.
It's like when
we're
huge judging it just by, so I think fitness is separated into two categories. This is another theme of my talk, wellness and aesthetics. So if we look at just how the body looks, okay, big deal, but what can it do? How is it mobile? Can it move? And that's why pole relates so well with it. Yeah. Oh, we got a bunch of loves on that one. So that was a big thing, is it's like, do we want to look good naked? Yeah, of course. I want to go in a change room and I want to feel and look good, but it's more about feeling good naked, and that comes with owning that sexuality, sensuality. And we see these girls walking in here different. Yeah, they walk in shy, and then all of a sudden they're strutting around and they're
leaving in their pole shorts. We have to remind them to put their pants back on.
See, it's like infectious. It's insane. And I think, like, we've got one of the best jobs in the world, because we get to watch this transformation happen. And I don't know about you, but like, it just like warms my freaking heart.
And it keeps you inspired to keep on pushing yourself too. Like, we're all on this journey also, kind of together in our own different ways. But again, it's nice to see.
Teach my son new moves all the time. He loves pole dancing at home. Amazing. Yes, nice. I missed your class so much. Oh, Danielle. Oh, what was he? That had me. I got distracted by the comment.
You were gonna say Bia on the pole?
Oh no, my kid. I say all that, no kids, but like my kids sometimes run around the pole. I think my kid has a really interesting upbringing so far. She spends half her time in a jiu-jitsu school and half her time in a pole dancing studio.
So she's.
It's like, but. You know, I spent the last 10 years trying to empower women with self-defense. And when I came here, I realized that opening women up to their sexuality and sensuality empowers women on a whole different level. I spent the last 10 years trying to convince women to do jiu-jitsu, and now my job is to convince women to do pole dancing. Yeah. They're two outside the box activities, but there's so many similarities. Even listening to Seija's like beginning story, I could see so many similarities in my own. And even the prep for competition and the prep for performance, it's like, it's so interesting, the correlation. So we see this all the time. So many women are, I would love to try. I would love, but it's not me. It's not me. They're already like counting themselves out. So Seija's going to talk a bit about the barriers to starting.
I think it's just like, it's always the same conversation of not being something enough, or that there's something about you that just, it's not appropriate for this sport or space or whatever. So common ones are, I'm too big. I have weight to lose, or I'm too weak.
And no upper body strength.
I have no upper body strength. So if this is a full body type of activity, first of all, and the upper body strength will come, just like everything else once you're training pole. Same thing with I'm uncoordinated, I'm clumsy, I don't really know how to dance, I'm not sexy, I'm not this, that, or the other thing, but all these things tend to be
too young,
too old. That's
yeah.
Another good one, actually.
Yeah. We had a 71-year-old in here one time.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of, pole dancing with, all ages. So, I mean, I think it's just, again, it's that push, to get out of that comfort zone and just give it a try. You'll know if it's for you. You'll know if you're where you need to be once you give it a whirl a couple of times. But pole dancing is the space where you build all those things. If you don't feel confident, if pole's for you, you'll become confident. If you're not strong, you'll become strong. If you're not flexible, that's another one. I'm not flexible. Lots of people are not flexible when they start any kind of dance or what have you. That's something we train to. All of these things, again, will kind of come together once you sort of get into the groove of it.
Well, people act like flexibility, coordination, mobility are natural attributes. And
no,
for sure,
some people are maybe naturally gifted in that way, but
you got to work
practice,
it, especially as we get older. If you're not doing it consistently, and like a lot of people will also do one class, pole's not for me. And it's like,
no,
well,
you could have still been, sometimes in those first, maybe many classes, in my case, you're in your head, you're trying to absorb what the instructor's saying, but you're judging yourself, you're looking in the mirror going like, I don't look like that, I don't look like the instructor, I can't figure out, like, it's overwhelming sometimes at first, but it's just like step by step. Move by move, one class by class. It doesn't all happen like you show up at the pole studio and you're like, I'm feeling like a pole star now. Here I go. Like it's not
for everybody.
Yeah, look, here I go. And again, it goes back to my origin story of walking in the studio and having like a fairly, strong dance and movement background and getting on the pole and it being like completely out the window. Honestly, sometimes like the pole comes into the equation, you kind of forget like left, right, up, down, what have you, and it just takes a minute to kind of get to know it.
Or even just like a spin around, and like I get super dizzy, and then I'm just like,
where am I?
Right? Did I go all the way around? Yeah. So it's just like anything. I used to get the same thing in jiu-jitsu, but it's like, well, I'm not good at this. It's like, yeah, we know, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
And the beginner class is truly a beginner class, and you guys make every lesson complete. They'll leave with something.
That's right, exactly. And again, it's just that you're not going to suddenly one day wake up and be that strong, confident, comfortable. If you keep on waiting until you're strong enough, thin enough, et cetera, like that day's not going to come and that's your life that you're kind of wishing away and waiting for,
Yep. And maybe pole can be the vehicle that brings you to that place.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the biggest like message out there, and that's why we call it alternative fitness, because it is a way to get fit outside of the box gym walls. For both, do you do anything other than pole?
No.
Right? And she stays fit, she stays healthy, she stays mobile and flexible. I don't do anything else other than what I've been doing at Zen, mainly just because this is my life all the time and I can work out. I did try rock climbing and I walk often, but
same.
Yeah. But we get everything we need in these walls and in this movement, and that's something that we really want to emphasize.
Yeah, like if you want to excel at pole dancing and you have that in your head, you should be pole dancing. Yeah. And we've got other classes here that are excellent for cross training, like go and lift some things with Jen and get moving around in the hot yoga studio for sure, or get up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Get and do this and then come and pole dance. But I mean, in general, pole dance for pole dancing. Yeah.
So and it was the same with the jiu-jitsu. People would be like, I'm gonna go lift weights and get stronger. And
that's what everybody says. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'll come when I'm ready. I was like, okay.
You're never gonna be ready.
You're never gonna be ready.
Or you're always ready.
Yeah.
But the difference, I think, with like martial arts and with women and dancing is like every woman, I think, has pictured themselves like dancing at some point, or they break out and dance or
they do it at their house.
In at their house when their favorite song comes on, or you've maybe been attracted to Zumba and that's been your touch. So we kind of do the same thing, but with technique, with instruction, with proper movement and proper building foundations. So you're training like a dancer. It was the same thing we used to sell the martial arts. You're training like a fighter. Doesn't mean you have to go get in a fight.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to go on the stage and perform. It doesn't mean you're going to be working down the street next week because you're spinning around the poles here. None of that. Like, it's just a way to move your body, and
it's so fun.
It's so fun. It's like a party here all the time.
It is. It really is a dance party all the time. I love it.
Yep. So that's why our events are so fun. Our classes are so fun. We try and keep that party vibe, minus well, sometimes booze, but like minus the other things that give you those headaches at the end. Okay, thank you for joining us, and that was awesome. Thank you so much, Seija.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks.
I'm happy that she was able to explain her story to me, but also to you guys too. And if you have any questions, hit us up in our DMs. And if you want to come try 1 week, $25. Like, to come for one class, you're just not doing yourself.
Getting the whole experience.
Exactly. So that's why we do the 1 week pass, and we dance every day except Friday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. See you later.
Okay, now to shut it off. It's that awkward end.
Yeah, I'm like, don't do anything weird.
Yeah.
Fun.